And the funny part is that when we start to realize what the biggest challenges are that these other LOs and these other companies face, it really boils down to communication, and it boils down to the relationship that the corporate office has with these LOs. So I'll give you guys a case in point. So we have this LO that just joined us, and it's been arguably probably the most difficult onboarding experience we've ever had, because the owner of the company for the LO that we recruited on board flew in from Maryland and literally tried to physically intervene the LO from leaving. I mean, literally, when I say physical, like locked her in a room. Like locked her in a room and wouldn't let her out until he was done talking to her. I mean, it was just very, very, it wasn't unexpected. It was just the worst situation that we've ever seen. But this LO had said very calmly to us, is, you know, it's funny that I've been with this company for 3.5 years, and I've never once gotten a phone call from anybody thanking me for the business that I do, or even once acknowledging my existence as a branch for this company, until they felt like I was thinking about leaving.
Right.
And then it was all hands on deck.
That's status quo, you know, unfortunately.
Truly, I mean, it really becomes an eye opener. And so, Ryan, when you sent me that email, it makes me realize that, you know, when we talk about the lead tracker and we talk about, you know, talking to your past clients, and we talk about all the things that are productive as it relates to grabbing this low-hanging fruit, sometimes I wonder what it is that prevents us from doing it. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're providing a sub-level of service or a sub-level of product or a sub-level of interest rates, but so often we find ourselves hesitant from picking up the phone and engaging with the people who are possibly the most willing and able to provide us future business, to bring food and finances to our family. So is everybody, can everybody see the screen that I have up?
Yes, yeah, I can, Doug.
So I found this the other day, and I thought it was really perfect. You know, we deal with challenges every single day of our life, and we can choose to either do something about them or not. And I love it. It says, do you have a problem in your life? And you can go either yes or no. And if you say yes, then can you do something about it? And you can go either yes or no. And if you say yes, then why worry? And if it's something you can do something about it, why worry? Do something about it. I just found it really eye-opening to me for how simple you can diagnose every situation that happens. And so when we look at our lead trackers and we look at our business models, I wonder what struggles and challenges we're going to face in 2016, and I wonder what we can do today moving forward that better prepares us for making 2016 even better than 2015. Hey, Scott.
Yes, sir.
Welcome aboard, buddy.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep. We have Richard Riano in the Carolinas, and we have Ryan Miller down there in is it Stuart, Florida?
Yes, sir.
And then we have Scott Thompson. Yep, and Scott Thompson is he's what we call downriver here in Michigan. So thank you guys for attending the call. I'm great to have you guys on board. So let's really jump right into it. Hey, Richard, I never got a lead tracker from you, brother. Did you do one this week?
I have one that's updated. I'll have a few more things I can add to it, but I'll send you what I have.
Okay, perfect. So Ryan, tell me a little bit about how your month of October is going as we look at this lead tracker.
You know, month of October looks pretty good, Doug. I'm receiving you know, a good number of leads in for the month. I should have, you know, in excess of 20 by month end. However, I have my conversion ratio is a little bit lower than the norm.
Okay.
And I looked at that, and there's really no way, and it's really just, you know, dumb luck. You know, there's nothing that I've done differently. I'm not getting any type of referral sources that are sending me garbage leads now. It's just really, like I said, bad luck. So, but yeah, I usually have more greens than that in a typical month.
Well, here, you know what I'm looking at? I love the different colors, but what I'm more interested in is, let's look at the bottom three: past client referral, past client, current client referral, and then you have Julia Keys, which is a past client. The rest of them are realtor relationships, one business, personal friend. when you look at a lead tracker, the first thing you want to notice is the volume, obviously, how many that you're getting in. But I think the real topic of conversation is built around where the business is coming from. Because when you look at your past clients and your current clients, I noticed that both of those reds, I think it's Peterson and I'm not even going to try and pronunciate that last name. Mark
Bennett?
Well, no, the last one, Fransor.
Oh, yeah, your guess is as good as mine, Doug.
Mark.
So, but I think the real conversation isn't in the fact that it wasn't a converted opportunity. I think the real conversation is how were you able to get a CCR from Norrell? What happened when that conversation, and then what happened with the conversation with Lizanne, a past client referral. Those two, I think, those two, I think, are very. I think those two are very poignant conversations to have because there is a technique that you're employing into your database or into your business that's making these people feel like they should and will want to refer you. And all I'm saying is, yes, you might have struck out the first 2 times that these came this month, but the technique of what you're doing to get those on your lead tracker is something that I think we should really explore a little bit.
Sure.
So talk about these two. Go ahead.
Sure. Peterson came from a referral as well. Lisa Mee was a purchase that I handled, and now she was selling an investment property, and so she didn't have a realtor, so she referred me to her buyers, Peterson.
Okay.
So that came from a past client. Peterson's credit was too low. However, I ran it through the What If simulator because it only takes me a couple minutes to do that, and I realized they didn't have much derogatory credit and a lot of debt that needed to be paid off. So I ran it through the What If simulator and then called her and let her know what she needed to do to get the scores up. It was a quick fix. So
right.
When I finished that, she said she went to another bank who just turned her down and was real appreciative that I took the time to show her what she needed to do to become lendable. And so that was a perfect opportunity. I saw it as a referable moment and let her know that I don't pay for any type of marketing. I'm in 100% referral business, and I would greatly appreciate if she knew of anyone that were going to purchase or refinance in the near future to pass along my name.
Yep. Yep.
And she actually said, well, my parents are looking for a mortgage as well, and gave me their name and number before we even got off the phone. So I called them as well. They didn't have any type of easy credit repair fix, so I'm not even going to work with them. But hers is an easy fix, like I said.
Right, but here's the icing on the cake. You put yourself into a situation where you recognize a referable opportunity. You did something for somebody that they acknowledged that somebody else didn't want to or even took the time to do. Mm-hmm. You were able to cultivate the relationship and position yourself as saying, thank you for noticing that, that I was able to do this for you. Who else do you know? And you were able to get that. You were able to get a name almost instantaneously. Imagine if that conversation became so easily said in every moment that you were having that conversation after you got out, before you got off the phone with everybody you talk to every single day. Don't you think that in those situations that people already know you and like you, and you've made a deposit in their life, why wouldn't they think about somebody that they care about talking to you because you obviously showed that you cared about them?
Absolutely, and that's what it needs to become that way, Doug. I probably have this conversation with, and I don't even know the percentage, but let's say 1 out of 4 people. So 25% of the people I'm talking to, I do realize that referable moment, and it's only when it's greatly evident that I do that, but it needs to become more of an everyday conversation with everyone I'm speaking with.
You need to realize that when you pick up the phone, your goal is not only just to provide them a value, but your job is to make sure that you find the time to cultivate the conversation to where you can bring this up. I don't think that there's a conversation on the face of the planet that you can't turn around and elicit a thank you or I appreciate statement from the person you're on the phone with, just to be able to tell them, hey, listen, the fact that you were referred to me means everything to me. You know that my business is 100% built in this exact same fashion. I know that I can't help you out, but that doesn't really matter to me. What matters is that you go back to that referral source and say thank you. And in the meantime, I would hope that you find what I'm able to do for you valuable enough that you'd like to tell somebody else about the level of service that I give. If you had that 35 to 45-second conversation at the end of every phone call that you had with every person, Ryan, I have a hard time believing that you wouldn't see your numbers almost go up by 30 to 40%.
That would be fantastic.
And that's really the skill set that I'm really trying to, really kind of trying to emphasize with you guys. It isn't the fact that you have a phone call. There's a reason that you're on the phone, but that's not the purpose of the phone call. Every lead that comes in provides you with a purpose and a reason. And we can go through the motions and just simply say yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe a little credit repair, but we very rarely ever recognize the value that we're bringing to the borrower on the other side of the phone. And that's why I started with the whole, we don't know what our competition's doing because we're not really dealing with them. But our clients and the general public deals with that on a regular basis, and we have no idea how good we really are. And if we learned how to articulate what our message and our value is in such a fashion that people start to view us and feel about us differently, I'm telling you what, it's not difficult to fill a lead tracker up when all you're doing is having these meaningful conversations about how to provide value to people, irregardless if they're all red. This month they're all red. I guarantee that next month there's going to be a hell of a whole lot more yellows and greens.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, what do you think?
No, I this is I think the third week I've been on this call, and I don't know. Each time I keep hearing you guys, what you're truly trying to accomplish, it's like one of those aha moments. You know what I mean? As far as not just talking, but using it in every conversation. Articulating it. I just keep forgetting. When I made my first, whatever dozen calls the first week, I almost forgot half the time to go back to the written because I hadn't staged it prior. You know what I mean? Hadn't set it up.
Right.
It was kind of awkward. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to do is, as I'm getting new people to talk to, is actually planting some of those seeds. So it's not, it's awkward. At the 11th hour or 2 months after closing, saying, "Oh, by the way,"
Right. It's
So
harder to
I'm
go
trying
back.
to
It absolutely is.
What's that?
Right. I said it's harder to go back when you don't set the stage up correctly in the beginning.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm finding is, it's everybody. I mean, even the ones you can't help are previous. So, I guess what's really resonating with me is just, how to set it up, start it from day one as a mindset, a business,
Right.
plan. You know what I mean? An everyday,
Yep,
all-day concept, not just okay. Now that we close successfully, can I? Do you know anybody else? And that's probably by that time I probably missed 10 times to have opportunities as you refer, referable moment. Probably missed 10 of them.
I think
And
a lot of
probably
ways
better times.
you could walk into a McDonald's restaurant and order yourself a hamburger, and if the person behind the counter said, "Hey, please don't forget to tell your family and friends about us," you probably look at them a little bit kind of weird, like it didn't feel right. It doesn't resonate with the whole image of what McDonald's is all about. So we either choose to become that McDonald's when our clients come to meet us, or we choose to be a referral-based practice every time we talk to our clients. And every time that we minimize our value by accepting the fact that we're simply just a closing cost or a rate or a good faith estimate, we basically identify ourselves with being exactly that for the consumer. And Ryan, I'll tell you right now, I think that your impression of your competition has changed a little bit since your personal loan scenario. Would that be a fair statement?
It absolutely has. I mean, I always knew that myself as well as our company's success was very customer service orientated, and we offered a higher level of service than competition. But until I got in it with my own personal loan, I didn't realize how far we were set apart with some of these bankers and brokers alike.
Do you think
I would be absolutely embarrassed. I'd be absolutely embarrassed if I handled a transaction the way mine was done.
So do you think that it would make sense for you at any point to share your personal story with your clients when they start to consider that maybe your rates aren't the best rates that are out there?
Oh yes, yeah. I think that would be a very strong comparison to make, because this is what personally happened to me. I'm
Right.
not saying it's much different than just saying Bank of America's turn times are 45 days and you're just a loan number to them, yada yada yada. This is what
Correct.
personally happened to me. That always resonates with people at a much higher level.
Correct. And it's funny because when you share a personal story like that, the best thing about that personal story is that you tried. You can even spin it and saying, listen, my own company could have done my loan, but I was really curious to see what the other competition was like out there that offered great rates. So I took it upon myself to walk, to do that a million mile march. So I did my own loan with a friend of mine. And here's the experience that I went through. And I think that story allows you to be empathetic and gets your client to understand firsthand about what the real world's like beyond just the pieces of paper and digits that people throw on there. And I think that in and of itself gives you an opportunity to start every conversation that turns down the path of interest rates. I think that's the story that you bring up and say, listen, before we go any farther, let me just kind of share with you a little bit of research that I've done. And that is, here's how I did my own personal loan, and let me explain to you a little bit about what unfolded. And I think you get a lot of people to kind of open their eye up and go, wow, you went down another path, maybe similar to the path that I'm going to go down, and this was your experience, and you're in the business. It almost, I don't want to say you scare them, but you kind of open their eyes up to the realities of the life that they're about to take on.
Yes.
Yep. So just to jump ahead real quick, tell me about your current client referral.
Current client referral.
Number 12, the guy, let's just call him Frank.
Oh, that was actually what I was sharing about. So Peterson, I was not able to help, so he referred me to his father and mother. Got
it. Peterson, you weren't able to help. So what about I got it. I see. Okay, I see the connection now. All right, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, that makes total sense. So that really does surmise what it is that I'm meaning. So Lizanne, was that a past client?
Lisa Mee was a past client. She referred me to the buyers of her home, which was Peterson. Peterson, I can't help out right now, but maybe in the future. But then they referred me to their parents.
I misunderstood. So Lisa Mee, tell me a little bit about what your conversation with Lisa Mee was like. That was the one that you said you help out with the credit?
Yeah. No, Lisa Mee was my past client that I closed about a year ago. Actually, longer than that, because it was with my previous bank. I closed her about 2 years ago on the purchase of a primary. She called me. I do. Well, yeah, I do remember, but she contacted me.
Okay, so she contacted you, but why did she contact you? I guess that's the part I'm kind of curious about. Why, after 2 years or so, did she call you?
Sure. She actually didn't have my information. So she called the realtor on the file, Catherine Lomax, who still uses us as a preferred lender, and got my information. Said, hey, that mortgage guy that really helped me out, he did a great job on my loan, and I wanted him to speak to my buyers.
Wow.
So then, which was good, because then Catherine, knew that, okay, wow, this is a client from 2 years ago, and she wants his number. So yeah, all around it was.
How does it make you feel when somebody actually works to find you?
It's a great feeling, especially someone. I mean, she didn't remember my name, but she remembered the level of service I offered her. So, it's always a good feeling.
She didn't remember your name because you never reached out to her.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I didn't have a database created at that time. You're exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say that again, Scott.
Oh, I was just saying that it's the good and the bad with that. It feels great they remembered you, but feel bad that they had to do it versus,
Well, how many clients have I lost over the years for not marketing to the database?
Now we're really getting to the meat of the conversation. How many of our past clients think about us for a split second and don't go through the effort of trying to find our contact information and say, let's just, the hell with it. Let's just go with the convenience factor.
Right.
Well, and that's me personally. I'm not saying anything to, Ryan there. I'm just saying for me, that's what, when one finally gets to me, I'm like, okay, how many did I miss that didn't put that effort in based on, my business practices,
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Scott. It applies to me as well. I did not have a database created until success. Now, luckily, I have one with all the closed loans I have with success, but man, how many missed opportunity over the years.
Well,
I mean, talk about low-hanging fruit. I don't know how you can get it any lower than past clients.
It's practically sitting on your lap, and all you got to do is pick it up and put it in your mouth.
Well, that's what I've been running into, Ryan.
With Lisa Mee, how did you lead the conversation with Lisa Mee?
I actually, I'm always real grateful when I'm contacted, and I always had thank them, give them, just a big thank you over the phone, but this time I let her know that I was on a 100% referral business, and I said, I can't tell you how much that means to me that you thought of me, and even though this is not your transaction, you're, refer me to your buyers. I said, it just, it means a heck of a lot to me that you thought of me, and I said, this is how I feed my family, so I really greatly appreciate it. So I wanted her to know, though, that I'm not just appreciative, but this is my lifeline. I'm on a referral business, so. She knew emphatically. What's that?
Can I give you one little bit of coaching?
Sure.
Change the referral word to relationships.
Okay. So how would you word that?
At least to me, I just want to let you know that my business model has gone from being very transactional to very relational. I want to only work with those people who really know me, like me, and trust me. And I appreciate how you went out there and found me. And I feel horrible and very disappointed that I haven't been able to stay in contact with all my past clients. But I want to let you know that now that you've made contact with me, I'd like to add you to my database. I'd like to stay in contact with you. And please, if there's ever an opportunity for me to work with somebody in your life that that needs to buy a house, I would love to be able to build a relationship with them, much the same way that I've established a relationship with you.
That sounds much better. I like that.
I think sometimes when we use the word referral, I think it feels to me kind of salesy.
It does, because it refers to, it almost implies money. Referral and money go hand in hand,
And I think the idea of what we're really trying to say is that we really are trying to build relationships with people that are so strong that they feel compelled to that they want to endorse us to the other people in their life. And I think when you eliminate the word referral, I think, and change it with relationships, I think it resonates with people on a different level. And I think you might find that it feels more comfortable as you have your conversations. And if you think about, how nice it is to consider yourself to have a friendship with somebody, and it's a relational business, the byproduct of the relationship is obviously an at-bat or a referral. But really what you're after with Lisa Mee is really just being able to establish and maintain a connection that she obviously respected you. She obviously knows you do a really good job. She knows that you're capable of doing what you say, and she's willing to stake her relationships on your abilities. That's 100% relational. That's not really a referral mindset. It's more of a relational mindset.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
That's good. Nice, Doug. I like that.
Yeah, I do as well. I'm going to change that. I actually haven't heard that terminology in all my years. That's perfect.
It's an evolution. I think what we've started with is just getting the consistency down of repeating the same statements over and over again, and getting used to putting yourself into those situations and asking for the business while you're orchestrating these referable moments. But I think what the conversation has to evolve into now is, it isn't just the referral. I think it's like you go to your job because you want to make money. No, I think what you love to do every single day is build meaningful relationships with people. And when people from 2 years ago scramble to try and find you and go through several steps to try and track you down, I think that's why we're in this business. Maybe not that process, but the process of somebody wanting to feel so compelled to want to make sure that they connect with you, because it makes us believe that what we do every single day has a higher value than what most of our competition does.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Oh,
yep, 100%.
Exactly. It changes a lot as far as my mindset. Because whenever I have the referral, please give me referrals. It sounds self-serving, like it's a one-way street. So the relationship part, I definitely like that phrasing better. The verbiage much better, because the
what jumps into my
referral.
Right. What jumps into my mind about that is much the same way that you go for a job interview. When you go for a job interview, people are looking for what it is that you bring to the table. What is the value that you bring to the table? You don't come to a job interview going, how much money can I make? That's the byproduct of the effort you're putting into your position. I think it's very similar with this conversation. I think what you're after is the relationships. It's beginning to develop a relationship with somebody that has such a high appreciation for what you do and the value you bring that they want to be, that they're compelled to want to refer you. And I think when you talk to people, it's more about articulating the relationship side of it and less about getting the referral. I mean, you can ask them for the endorsement and the opportunity to work with somebody else that they might know, like, and trust, but I think that conversation sounds a little bit softer than I'm looking for a referral.
Mm.
That make sense?
Yep.
Hey, Doug, if I could chime
Sure
in
does.
on
Yeah, please.
Well, I hear you, and this is a whole new shift for me, and haven't been in this for so long. So for me, I'm breaking old habits, creating new opportunities with some new conversations.
Right.
I updated the other one for you to have a little bit better view there. So
is this the right one that I'm looking at?
Try the next one, I think, Doug.
Oh, you said, is that the second email?
Yeah. I wanted to give you a little better view. But
Okay.
but the point is I love hearing the feedback from the guys. Yeah, that sheet there, that's the one. I love hearing the feedback from the guys as to how they're implementing this. For me, that terminology, I guess what I'm trying to say is as simply this. I'm enjoying the fact that I'm actually changing my language and speaking now a different language altogether.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to incorporate those things that you're coaching on is just going to take some time and repetition.
Of course.
The thing that I'm finding is that I'm just more comfortable implementing those steps,
Mm-hmm.
more confident knowing that they're going to give us the end result. And that's how I've had better weekly conversations, because there's a lot of red here. I'm getting a lot of junk from folks. I've had to start new relationships. But the ones that are in green are going in the pipe, are a new production. But I'm enjoying the fact that I can actually talk to them about having that relationship enhancement for the business.
Right.
And that's just some old habits.
Right. No, you're right.
Need to be broken, and that looking forward to seeing how the result of that look, in a couple of months with these closings, because I should have a decent November, December.
That is nice. That is the best news I've heard all day, Richard. Thank you, buddy.
And I agree with them. I mean, yep.
Yeah, and I think that the point I'm trying to make along with that is that, until you start doing these things on a regular, consistent basis and changing that mindset, the results will never be there, right? In that, I just wasn't doing it. I wasn't looking for the relationship. I wasn't talking about it. I was just acting on closings, closing dates.
Right.
Focusing on the agents, not really going deep with the relationship far enough to be able to feel confident into the game. They would be ready, willing, and able to give a referral without even, not necessarily asking, but with freely, I guess, is a good way to put it.
So let me share with you guys a little exercise that I did last week. I went down and visited to Indiana, and I visited 2 of our branches down there. And I met with one of the branch managers, and we sat down and started benchmarking her business for the remainder of the year and moving into 2016. And so she's been doing Thor's Hammer. She's been doing, the business like everybody preaches and recommends. But there are certain people who I believe are very transactional in their businesses, and I think there are some people that are very relational, just inherently. I think a lot of it has to do with the way we're raised and how we view people. This branch manager is very relational, very, very, very much so. Not transactional, but loves the chase, loves the jazz of trying to convince somebody that they have a tremendous amount of value and that they should use them. So this branch manager was very, very strong at getting her at bats with her realtors. And so I asked her, how many agents does she work with on a consistent basis? And she said, I have about 15. I said, well, that's fantastic. Can you go through the top 15 and tell me, who they are? Do you know that we made it through the first 5, and after that, she really couldn't talk in any great detail about the other 8 or 10 realtors. And when I asked her what were they like, but the first 5, she could tell me details upon details upon details about their family, their passions, and all this stuff. And let me ask you guys this question and just throw out some numbers. How much of her business do you think comes from those 5 realtors as opposed to the other 10?
Probably 90%.
90%.
80-20, yeah. I was going to say it's got to be 80-90%.
I got an email from her today that said, where is it? It said this. It said that she gets the realtor relationships that she has in those top 5 were 43% of her business that she closed this year. 43%. The other 35 and the other 13% were from 13% was from Thor's Hammer, and 35% was from past client and referrals. 43% of her business came from those realtor relationships that she knew for a while. So she got 43% of her business from those top 5 agents. And so I asked her very blatantly, I said,
yeah.
and I said, so if you can get 43% of your business from those 5, why do you want other realtors? Why wouldn't you just focus on those 5 and really develop better relationships with your clients? Because obviously you're good at it. And I think that was the moment when she sat back in her chair and said, I didn't even think of that. And it was really an eye-opener because she naturally does it, and she doesn't really have to ask for the business, but she got 35% of that business just because of who she is. And a lot of the times I think most of us lose sight of the value we bring, and we get so caught up into chasing the next closing that we lose sight of what really matters in this business, and that is not being the big bank mindset, and that's being the small, individual, personalized lender. Not because we're scared about going out and getting new business, but I think we all love the validation that comes from being endorsed and being referred by somebody else that, for lack of a better term, has known us for 30 to 60 days.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I mean, with her numbers, it's even deeper. It's 80% when you take those 5 agents plus people who worked with her and love her.
Exactly.
8 out of 10 closings are just those 2. And my guess is she probably spent a ton of time on the Thor's Hammer to get that 13%, trying to develop, new relations, So the bang for the buck on her time is just off the charts with those 2.
Yeah, so here's what she says in the next conversation, and I don't mean to share private information, but I think it's just relevant. 78% of the relationships that we talked about is where I got my business. I need to focus more time there. I like to go deep with realtors that are in this group and do even more business with them. Also, I get in front of my favorite clients, take them to lunch, call more often, go to dinner, have a client party. I will continue to find needs from them and find solutions for them and ask them for more business. Like the concept from the book Mr. Schmooze, which is essentially, if you develop a big enough relationship, you make connections with people, you can find ways to help them out in ways that they never thought possible, and they'll be indebted to you. And this is the secret of a long and very comfortable and very profitable business. When your relationships are where you get your business from, you are then the teacher of how to do that. And now if you decide to elevate yourself into a different category, like all 3 of you gentlemen are going to be put into this branch manager satellite class that I'm teaching in Savannah for 2 days. We're doing 2 breakout sessions, and all 3 of you guys will be in each of the 2 sessions. And it really is that we're never, right now, Ryan, Richard, and Scott, you guys are not interested in becoming a Kenneth Travis. You're not interested in having 18 to 25 LOs. You're not interested in having a staff of 10 to 12 people. Right now, we're just really good alpha loan officers and can produce loans at a very high level when our momentum kicks in and we stay focused. And the reality is that if we learn how to focus on how to generate more qualified business, we now become the prize. Once we learn how to do this and master it, don't you think that you could reach out to LOs and other people in your network and cultivate a different business model around, I can help you grow your business because I know how to do it organically. And now you become more than a rate and a piece of paper to these future LOs or your future employees. You truly become a leader. And that's really the mindset of why you 3 are on this call, is because I believe you all 3 want something more than what you're currently doing. I think it is, yes, about volume, but I think you also can see the benefit of once you've learned how to master this, you become what maybe I am to you guys, but now you guys become the leader of your own small teams. And I'll tell you, leading LOs, it's not an easy business. It's not. So Richard, hey, real quick for me with this list, the reds that are on here are a lot of them just because is it credit, is it ratios? What happens with all of these reds?
The reds, yeah, new relationships, new being the new guy on the block, just get a lot of bad credit, and I mentioned that to you, but it's just part of the equation. I mean, being number two means you're going to get all of the leftover scraps until you can find that one deal that makes things get turned around and you start becoming the number one or the actual number two that gets the good stuff.
What do you do with all these red leads?
Similar to what Ryan mentioned earlier, if I see that it's something that can be nurtured, I refer them to a credit repair agency that can work on it on the side, so I'm not putting too much attention and time into it. It's just too much of a train wreck. Thank you. Look forward to working with you in the future and put them into a database. I use mortgage returns.
Yeah.
So all of my contact leads, regardless of whether it's a prospect, credit repair, there's 4 campaigns in there I use. I put them in that and put them on a slow drip.
Okay. Does anybody see when I'm going to ask this, I see things maybe slightly differently. Does anybody see all the red on here as a huge opportunity? Does anybody else?
Well,
You broke up, sir.
Does anybody else see on this when you have a ton of red leads that are all not able to do anything? Does anybody see something that Ryan did in his lead tracker?
Creating a referable moment out of it?
100%. 100%.
okay.
If you're getting 19 referrals or at bats, and I can't really stress this on you guys enough, it isn't about getting a closable deal. That's not what the lead tracker is about. The closable deals will come with your numbers. But every time you have a red that shows up, you actually have to have a difficult conversation with somebody about the reason why they're not eligible to get a loan. At that moment, you can decide whether or not you're the big box bank and can treat them like everybody else has probably treated them, or you can talk to them in a way that shows them that you care more about the relationship than you care about their credit profile. Now, what you choose to do with that from that point on is totally your business model. But I will tell you that with the way that I handled my business, I looked at every person that came into my business who wasn't eligible to do a loan as the best referable source that I could possibly get. Because more than likely, anybody that they've talked to probably have either lied to them or, let's be honest, have really poo-pooed on them and didn't think that they were worth the time of day, because most big bank people, just like your friend Ryan, don't get paid enough to put up with this kind of hooliganism.
Right.
So they push them to the side and they treat them like, like subpar clients. And I'm not saying that you've got to babysit them, but I'm saying that the conversation that you have with them at the moment that you tell them that it's not going to be a doable deal, it would definitely be beneficial for you to turn that opportunity around to be where, listen, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, I'm so sorry. Right now is probably not the best time for you guys to look at buying a house, and here are the reasons why. I would love to sit down and spend more time with you or take some time to educate you guys about this, but in order for me to do that, I need you guys to come in and spend some time with me. You'd have to pay for your credit report, and I'd want to sit down and just offer you guys up some consultations. And what I'm hoping to do is this. Because my business is 100% referred to me, it means everything to me that you go back to that referral source and say thank you. So now you're treating the referral source with kid gloves, and you're making that no deal turn into at least an endorsement back that says you're doing a good job. But it also furthers the conversation around, I know that I can't help you out, but listen, I know that you're in the position right now, you're thinking about buying a house. You may or may not know anybody that might be doing the same. And listen, I would love to help out somebody, at least give them some great, solid direction or mortgage advice, because in this world right now, there's a lot of misinformation, and I would hate for you to have to find out the hard way. How does that conversation differ from the conversations that you guys are having? Because you have literally 15 people on this sheet, Richard, that may not be getting a loan from you, but God bless it, could all be your walking billboard if you had the conversation with them around what it is that you care about.
No, it goes back to the reprogramming. You know, it's a different mindset. It does take time, but it's time invested into future business.
Does anybody see the value in what I just said? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know times have changed and I know things are done differently, but tell me if what I'm saying is convoluted, or it's just littered with holes and it just doesn't make any sense.
It's 100%, accurate. Especially, I mean, with these 19 people, what if one out of every 3 gives them a shot at somebody else just based on the respect model? Because a lot of times people don't want to talk to us because they're a little uncomfortable,
Absolutely.
Well, we, treat them like the old thing, but if all of a sudden you treat them nice, and, we're not so busy 24/7 that you can't spend 15 minutes sitting with people. And we know once we sit with somebody face to face, whether it's a realtor or a client, our, closing, our relationship goes up 100-fold, And that's something I got to keep reminding myself,
Brian, what about you, buddy?
I was just thinking it absolutely is a mentality change, because if you look at my lead tracker the first couple months, there was 0 CCRs and PCRs, and then you maybe saw 1, and now I'm not saying my sheet is by anywhere perfect, and I need tremendous growth in this area, but now I have a handful of them. So it's absolutely what Richard said, is it's a mentality shift. We have been so programmed, at least as seasoned guys, where a lead, you have one initial goal, and that's to get them pre-qualified, and after that's done, your one initial goal turns to get them closed. And this is a completely different mind shift, to where this is not just a lead, this is a lead that can turn into a lead that can turn into another lead. So it takes time to cultivate. It's not something you go do. What's that?
It's dual purpose, because not only does that lead represent a possible future lead, but it also becomes a walking billboard back to the referral source that got to you in the first place.
Right. Yeah, it's the triangle of trust that you have.
Ah, now you're talking. See, this stuff's finally starting to take hold, boys. I love it.
All right, you just made Doug's day right there.
You so totally made my day. I'm glowing. Guys, I'm glowing. I'm like, I'm like, my students are finally getting it. But that's
good
really
job, Grasshopper.
Yeah, right. The lead tracker is really exactly that. It's to be able to look at it and go, look at that. I've shifted my attraction from being all realtor relationships and cold calling to now starting to get a handful of people calling me and requesting me. And I know that when you look at that lead tracker and see that, you feel differently about those endorsements than you do when you get the business from proactive calling. And I'm not saying you should stop doing that, but what I'm saying is, over time, you'll start to see it become an inverse relationship, and pretty soon you'll only work with those people that are referred to you. And if your other business pillars are working, that's where you really stand to grow a business and be able to look at hiring and developing a model that doesn't require you to become a slave to it 24/7. That make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes, I love it.
Awesome. Mr. Thompson, let's get you on the screen, brother.
Oh, no.
Don't say no. Man, this is all about...
Oh, no. I'm not saying no to you. Heck, no. It's an oh, no.
Okay.
Danger, Will. Danger.
There we go. Lead trackers. Nice. Look at you, buddy. You got some stuff in the pipeline.
Well, I'm in the same, mindset with, what Richard was saying. It's just sometimes, we have the mindset of pre-approvals is the only deals out there. If they're not pre-approved, next, then start working on closing. So it's taken me a little bit just to, get more at bat or more clients on this list that, aren't just the pure greens, Because forever
Sure.
I just took, if they weren't pre-approval, next, and
Right.
forget about them or don't follow up, correctly. I mean, I obviously treat them with respect. I'm not saying that, but mentally
I'm
you're
not.
throwing them off, off the boat, And
You wouldn't be in this business right now if you only treated people.
No, I definitely do, but there's so much more, that I'm learning or, being, educated here as far as so much further past that, opportunities that I'm missing, I mean,
Right.
even whether it's a previous database or ones I'm working with or just on and on, trying to, get those referable moments, up at the front or more often. Because right now it's kind of feeling like, those commercials where your timing's off, like, all of a sudden
Right.
it's like, you've seen those commercials where like, you're 5 minutes late with, the timing of everything. So
Sure.
it's
You miss it.
helping me
You miss
to-
it by a quarter of an inch. It's like your batting average. You don't see
Well,
these
and
players
that's what it
miss
feels
by-
like,
It is.
as
So
far
what
as prior to this. So that's what I'm getting a lot of out of this is, I'm going to take a little bit of uncomfortable trying to reconnect with my previous, customers that I've had in the last year and a half. But I think if I do that correctly, the second, third calls and future ones won't be as awkward,
Right.
And if I set it up correctly now, I'll get 7 or 8 opportunities, prior to closing,
Exactly. Exactly.
So
But the cool
it's
part of
interesting when you think of it that way, as far as the bigger picture of opportunities with each conversation.
and that's what the purpose of the lead tracker is designed to do.
Yeah.
It requires you to look at it every day, and as you analyze every line and every color and every transaction as it relates to being a doable deal or a not doable deal, these people that are on this list represent 2 main pieces of your business. A representation of who you've touched in the past that have put these people in front of you, and these people represent the future of what your business could be tomorrow. Not just for the fact that they could or could not close a loan with you, but their ability to want to go out there and proactively tell other people about how good of a job you did. And let's be honest, the job that you do is not about closing loans. If it truly is a relational business, you're in it to build relationships with people regardless if you can close loans. But you only are capable of doing that if you set the stage correctly so that they know how to thank you appropriately. Because let's be honest, guys, we only get paid to close loans. I'm not saying that you should go chase ghosts. What I'm saying is that you should look at your business and the relationships that you have as opportunities to further your business down the road. And that means capitalizing on those moments that you can create referable opportunities in and letting go of those people that don't seem to be a fit for your business. But as you look at your lead trackers and you look at the reds and the greens and the yellows and the blues, you can identify with those people who you think you want to build a better relationship with, and maybe the next time a situation comes up, you'll be more conversational with the message, and it becomes more comfortable, and you then become more apt to being able to ask on a consistent basis.
And Doug, what I'm seeing on this is it's actually disappointing that there's not a lot more red or yellows, because that's supposed to show you there's a lot more. I mean, you can't have a bat 900 with baseball. It's not it's not real.
You'll never.
So this shows me that there's a lot of people that perhaps I've talked to that just completely blew out of the water when it didn't seem like a real deal.
Reds are just as powerful as the greens and the yellows. They just come in a different form. They're the seeds. Okay, let's look at it this way. So that you guys really just hit a point for me. Let's look at it this way. The reds are the seeds of your business for tomorrow. Yeah. The greens represents the fruits of the labor of what you're doing now. So every time you plant a tree, you're not going to take the seeds from the apples and just throw them away. You're going to take the seeds from those apples, you're going to hold them on for a little bit, and then you're going to start a tree someplace else. It becomes the same concept. Every person you talk to every single month represents either a fruit or a seed. You decide what you want to do with it.
Hey, Doug, along those lines, I want to say something for Scott's sake, if I could, real quick.
Yeah, please.
The not having a database to work from, longer story than needs to be said here, but the fact that I hear that you have some uncomfort or a little call reluctance with regards to that database, they don't think about you as much as you think they think about you.
Correct.
And that's what I'm finding out, yeah.
And the misgivings that you have in your mind may not be as prominent or, for that matter, even relevant to a conversation you may have with that database today to make, as Doug says, those seeds become into something more powerful for you that is just waiting there to be had in the pan of gold. So I
appreciate that, yeah.
Having a database, I would tell you, make full use of it despite what reluctance you have in there, because I'm guilty of that as well, that I don't do real well of calling folks because I think in my own little pea brain that they're worried, concerned, or mad at me when, quite frankly, when I do have the conversation and Doug's encouragement to call those folks just to reconnect, find out that, you know, they thought I was the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. You guys are making my day. This is fantastic.
So
no, I mean, it's true. I mean, we have that, you know,
I don't say much, but I'm listening.
No, I appreciate that. As far as, you know, because that's what I'm finding out, you know. I mean, I got to get, you know, keep going through you know, my previous customers, just keep hitting them, just make it a point. And, you know, while, you know, none of them are popped up, oh, yeah, I have 3 deals today, I'm sure just by me reconnecting, you know, they will at Thanksgiving when they're having, you know, Thanksgiving with family or Christmas, or, you know, at least gave them, you know, another chance to reconnect, you know, to, you know, remind them I'm out here, you know, and we did have a good relationship. You know, I mean, we have a couple laughs and giggles and, you know, talk about it. It is good. And like I said, I know by connecting, you know, when I contact them in 90 days or something, it won't be as awkward, you know. It'll be, you know, whatever, reconnecting on a, you know, a quicker basis, you know. So what I'm suggesting is not doing it, but, you know, I mean, let's face it, I should have been doing this stuff 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a year.
I mean, yeah.
So it's just making it happen. It's just that basic. And it's actually been pretty fun, you know. When I say it's awkward, it's awkward
that's really the message.
Not truly the conversation, you know.
Right. There's a great number of different strategies out there to grow your businesses. I never took on many of the strategies that are out there that most people support and preach. And, you know, I think Thor's Hammer is a great product if that's the style of business that you want to do. If you have the gumption and the desire to hit it the way that Thor's Hammer does it, then more power to you. I never looked at my business and said to myself, I had to do that, because I chose to go down a different path. And I think the more times than not, the only reason we're not doing the things that we need to do, it's largely due in part because we don't like doing them. Not that we can't, but we just don't like it, or it doesn't feel right to us, or there's something that doesn't gel with the way that our genetic makeup is, you know, is built. And so I look at this model, and if we can't handle doing relational things, then it's going to be a slow, painful, withering process of you becoming, you know, you changing careers. Because if you can't do this, it's going to be a very difficult process to maintain any kind of consistency in your business.
No, it's definitely easy to do. It's just getting rid of the prior habit of short-term thinking, transactional thinking versus, you know, long-term. You know, and
you got it.
You know, I think by just reconnecting with previous successful clients and closing, you know, giving more business than Hammer and Thor's Hammer for the next 12 weeks with 30 agents, you know, da-da-da-da-da. So, especially, you know, and this may be different, but I think in a smaller community, the relationship selling is becomes just more important, you know.
Exactly. Gentlemen, I'm going to wrap things up for today. I've got another appointment. You guys, again, thanks for coming. I'll send out the replay for you guys here probably tomorrow. If anybody needs a separate phone call, please don't hesitate to reach out and see me, or, you know, connect with me. And, man, I'm telling you what, man, Savannah is going to be an absolute blast, man. I'm looking forward to seeing every single one of you guys.
Me too. Sounds good.
Thanks, Doug.
Take care, gentlemen.
Have a good afternoon, gentlemen. Take care.
All right, guys. Good talking with you all.
Bye-bye.